Looking back to 1980, we now know that a windfall profits tax, what it will do, it'll decrease domestic production and increase America's oil imports. The exact opposite of what we need to do today. Additionally, a 1984 General Accounting Office report called the windfall profits tax perhaps the largest and most complex tax ever levied on U.S. industry. In May, Investors Business Daily editorialized in response to this new tax proposal, as any student who's taken Econ 101 at the local junior college can tell you, higher taxes don't encourage production, they discourage it. But the Senate Democrats apparently played hooky the day the taxes were discussed. American oil companies reinvest their profits into exploration and in production. This is how we can get on a road to expanding our production in America. America's major oil companies already pay the second highest corporate rate tax in the industrialized world. An additional $17 billion in tax increases will only further harm the international competitiveness of U.S.-based oil companies. Now, using the Energy Information Administration's numbers, oil and gas industry profits can be calculated to roughly account for about 8% of the price of a gallon of gas. So that for $4 a gallon for gasoline, the oil and gas profits approximately 32 cents. Then it's arguable that if oil company profits were slashed in half, as has been proposed, it would only reduce the cost of a gallon of gas by 16 cents. And people are led to believe that it'd be $2 or $3. It's just not true. So it's arguable that if oil company profits were slashed in half, that would be approximately 16 cents a gallon. $17 billion in tax hikes will also ship American oil and gas jobs overseas. If indirect and other employment resulting from the direct activities and the earnings of these direct oil and gas employees is included, the total U.S. employment resulting from oil and gas activity is almost 8 million. For American jobs, for the international competitiveness of American companies, and for the consumers at the pump, Congress has got to reject these Democrat attempts to increase taxes and implement backdoor price controls. Now, what should we be doing? The oil and gas exploration and production is currently prohibited in 85% of America's offshore waters. You know, we've talked about the huge reserves that are over there, but it's prohibited. We're willing to do it, but it's prohibited in 85% of the waters. And other nations don't do this. Canada allows offshore drilling in the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Great Lakes. Additionally, Cuba is also looking to expand drilling, which could occur 45 miles from the shores of Florida. And that's with technology that is much less environmentally sound. So you'd have the effect of increasing any adverse effect that would come from that type of activity. Exploration and production activities are currently prohibited in the Pacific and Atlantic regions of the Outer Continental Shelf, which hold an estimated 14 billion barrels of oil and 55 trillion cubic feet of gas. This is equivalent to more than 25 years' worth of imports from Saudi Arabia. Looking to Alaska, ANWR is estimated to contain 10 billion barrels of oil, about 15 years' worth of imports from Saudi Arabia. If President Clinton had not vetoed the bill back in 1995, we had passed a bill that it was in concert with what they want in Alaska, and that is to be able to explore in that very small area up there. If that hadn't happened, we would be in a position today, we would have 1 million additional barrels a day coming from every day from ANWR. And you know what that would do to reduce the price of gas at the pump. The Heritage Foundation describes ANWR's 19 million acres as the same size of South Carolina. Of that area, President Bush proposes opening about 1.5 million acres to exploration, roughly 6% of ANWR. Of those 1.5 million acres, only 2,000, an area the size of Washington Dulles International Airport, would be devoted to drilling.
From Oklahoma has used 10 minutes.
So I do believe that what we need to do is look and understand that supply and demand still works, and we continue to do the things, hearing from the other side, from the Democrats, we want to cut the supply. We've got to increase the supply, increase it domestically, and by doing that, we are going to be, and we could do it by passing the Consumer First Energy Act that's been proposed by Senator Domenici and myself and others. The price of the pump would directly respond upon the notice of that type of legislation passing. I thank the chair and yield the floor.